drive, the economy. And it's actually, the most important part of what is known as Nigeria today. Hundreds of commuters, as we can tell you, are currently stranded, following a protest being held by the Lagos commercial drivers against what is called the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority and Task Force on Monday. According to the report coming out of Lagos this morning, the commercial drivers embarked on the strike to test extortion. Extortion takes place by the police, by the military. Almost everyone is trying to take out of individuals that are struggling. And it seems that, the event has now affected commuters that are all stranded at various bus stops and the motor parks. The Lagos itself has its own, transport system known as the BRT, but we still have the yellow buses that moves passengers from point A to B. And I mean, I was able to see the Lagos State Governor in London, participating in the mayor event here, where they were presenting the culture of Lagos State. But unfortunately, this morning, many stranded commuters can't get to work due to the protests going on this morning.
But interestingly, uh, has the governor, Babajide Sonolu, has he ever spoken about that? Or this is the first time that is coming up, I mean, for people to hear about? Though you and I know that they do that, they extort drivers, and therefore people, I mean, they stop them, and then they'll just quickly, when they give you their driver's license, got some money in it, or something that they always do, and stuff like that. So is it the first time that it's come up, or something that is going down, but we've not seen the governor doing anything about it? That's why these private entities have decided that, look, we are not working until that is addressed.
Well, it's not the first time. It's not the first time that we've seen, such, extortion taking place. We've seen evidence of police officer, taking money from, the motorcycle, the Okada riders. It seems that, this kind of corruption, means that drivers that are paying to the Lagos state through whatever system that has been set up, but it also seems that they have to pay many other individuals so that they can be able to operate across the state. And if you look at it, even the Okada riders, many have to pay junction to junctions. They have different types of, agbero, as they're known. And this agbero can be very, very deadly, when it comes to trying to get money out. And the reason for that is because Lagos State refused to allow what it will be a proper transportation mode system, and then we can probably, get rid of these agbero that have become menace in Lagos State.
Okay, listeners, Starr Radio UK, Mr. Lami Kwakin and North London Studios. I'm actually here in the South Studios, and we're bringing you updates from Nigeria. And like I did say earlier on, just bear with us with that noise, irritating noise in the background. The producer is trying to sort out whatever it is that he can unmute it so that we can be free from that. But as we're going on, just bear with us and let's move on. Now, so this driver that has crashed two Lauma officials, is it still to do with Lagos as well?
Yes, I mean, like we said earlier, it seems that the system that the Lagos State governor set up, must be, very checked when it comes to the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority. I mean, they shouldn't. I mean, these drivers should not be extorted in a way that it's going to affect passengers and those that are making their way out this morning. But unfortunately, this is the kind of corruption that takes place from the local to the federal, and from the federal to individuals. And most extortion happens, mostly, by officers in uniform.
Okay. Listeners, it's all Starr Radio UK. Those who have been crushed, may their souls, whether if they are dead, I hope that they are not. But if they are, may their souls rest in perfect peace. And to the drivers as well, I hope that their issues are addressed and then they can move on. But well, you know what? When money has been maybe apportioned to a person to construct a road or a bridge or do something to improve the lives of people in their communities, and they fail to use that money to do it, or we hear them siphoning monies that is meant for the state into their own personal pockets and doing all stuff, do we need prayers to do so? But the president says prayers and hard work is needed to actualize Nigeria's potential. Now, if you talk about religious people, oh boy, Nigeria has got it. It talks about what Islamic, those who are in the Islamic who are up there, they are there. You talk about Christendom, the pastor, the clergy, they are there. So, what exactly is he looking for?
Well, in the part of the world that we are as Africans, we believe in miracle, we believe in prophecies, and sometimes, maybe that could lead to laziness in the governance of a country. But maybe that is just the way, that continent has been set up. But it seems that, this morning, with that headline, prayers, hard work needed to actualize Nigeria's potential. This is coming from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I remember his chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila, during the Ramadan, says that, the weight of Nigeria, only Almighty Allah, can carry that load for the president. The question is, what about those that doesn't believe in Allah? What about the 80s? How do you convince them? How do you tell the Christians? Remember that we are running a president that is now a Muslim ticket. There's a lot of tension in Nigeria. There's so much religious hatred happening. We've talked about it last week. Almost millions of Christians have been affected in a country that is meant to be secular. I went back to look at, the Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, during the Ottoman Empire in Turkey. He had a lot of reform that led to industrialization of Turkey today, that led to, whether you're a Muslim, as a Muslim country in Turkey, there's still this freedom, of what you can put on or not. But in Nigeria, it seems that President Bola Tinubu says he's committed to changing the narrative of Nigeria for the benefit of all Nigerians. How is he going to do that? He stated this while he was briefing journalists at the end again of his ritual of performing the Lesser Hajj Umrah, as it's called, on Sunday yesterday in Mecca in Saudi Arabia. Remember that the president flew down there for the 2 days event in Saudi. There's a lot of business deals. There's a lot of arrangement from the energy and the security between the president of Nigeria and the Prince of Saudi Arabia. The president eventually had what we called the Lesser Hajj. President Muhammadu Buhari took that opportunity as well. So many times they traveled to those regions. They also performed the Lesser Hajj. Well, whether Christians or those that are the traditionalists believe in this, the question is, Tinubu says his administration was really, really determined to change the narrative through various reforms. Remember, I talked about what took place during that period of Kemal Atatürk, that transformed what is now known as Turkey becoming a very secular. In Nigeria, we have 12 states that are running Sharia. The question is, many Christians are now being massacred and killed in that part of the world in most of those states. But the question then is, how do we change the programs? What policies that would ultimately benefit the citizens? Also, he talked about the prospect of the country is yet to blossom to the level that we required. Everybody knows that. But it needs hard work, and most importantly, consistent prayers by each and every one of us. Many Nigerians have been praying for the last 63 years. Many have been praying for the hope that seems not to be coming anytime soon. But it seems this administration says they are going to do everything to make sure that things would turn around.
Okay, listeners, Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Mr. Laimi Koiki there for you, bringing you more from the president's statement. Now, what do you think about the president's statement? Do you think that we need to pray? Because we've turned ourselves to praying, everything, pray. When you know that, well, this is a clear thing. This one is taking our money. Let's get the money from it. He said we have to go and pray. This person is supposed to do it. I've done that. They didn't do it. He said we have to go and pray. So what are we doing with our own brains then? God has given us the ability to do everything. Yet, we want to go back to God and say, God, you have to come and do it for us. We can't do it. But, well, maybe you think that is a way forward. We have to pray for everything to happen. What about that? Listen to Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, the other time we spoke about Dangote's refinery, and we were looking at the fact that he wasn't going to be having crude oil from Nigeria, but rather have to import. And when we're looking or probing it, we found out that it's because they say that consignment, all the crude oil have been consigned to other organizations, and therefore he is not in line to get some, if anything. So what is it now that Dangote Refinery has secured a license to refine 300,000 barrels per day? And how is it going to pan out for Nigeria as a whole? Yomi.
Well, the last administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, made us believe that the whole project of Dangote Refinery was ready to go, and everything would also have, it's a business venture, but it would also have a big impact, in what is known as the, up and downstream in Nigeria. It was not just going to be refining crude oil; it was also going to be producing fertilizer and so many other things from that particular plant. A very big, huge project, somewhere in Lagos State. But this morning, according to the headline, Dangote Refinery has finally secured license to refine 300,000 barrel per day crude oil. The Africa richest man, Aliko Dangote, has said his refinery has eventually secured a license to refine more than 300,000 barrels of Nigeria crude per day, and we began to process gasoline very soon. We don't want to start our refinery with the foreign goods. We want to start it with the Nigerian crude, Dangote said in an interview as well in Saudi Arabia, on the sideline of the Saudi Nigeria Business Roundtable, according to the Bloomberg. We are more than ready, and you will see our gasoline products soon, he added. The refinery was supposed to start production in August, but actually missed the target. Addition to the severe order over the years, but Dangote insists that his refinery will start the production very soon. The refinery first priority is to supply gasoline to Nigeria before exporting to elsewhere, as we know that Dangote produces cement, export to other African countries, but it seems many Nigerians are not enjoying, the price of the same as the other African countries where Dangote actually sells the cement. We are told that the price of the cement of Dangote is quite higher than the price being sold in other African countries. But according to the report, Dangote Petroleum Refinery was importing crude oil and is expected its first cargo in about 2 weeks. So, but it seems that now that they've got the license for the Nigeria one, they might put the Nigeria one into the refined machine first before the one being brought outside the country.
But are you privy to whether the refined crude petrol or whatever thing that is going to be refining at the moment will be sold to Nigerian customers, or is it going to be shipped out of the country?
Well, you just had Dangote in that report says that their first priority is to make sure that whatever they are producing out of that refinery has to be sold to Nigerians before any kind of export.
And would that, in your view, bring down the price of petroleum?
Well, I don't think the price is going to come down because Dangote needs to make the money being invested by different investors that must have rallied around him to get to this stage of this one of the biggest refinery that you can ever think of in Africa, and also there will be other countries that would love Dangote to help in refining their product as well. Just like Nigeria sent out crude oil to other countries to help to refine. I don't think Dangote will be given the whole capacity to refine the needs of what Nigeria. So we will still end up having more of our product outside Nigeria to be refined. And the most important thing is the revenue coming out of the crude oil is one of the biggest that the country has. Apart from some other product that we do send out as well. But one thing is, Dangote focus is, I will be able to sell to Nigerians, but maybe not to the price that many Nigerians might be expecting. Especially the dollar is still about 1,000 naira to the dollar this morning. The pounds is about 1,300 to the pounds. To the naira this morning, 1,300 naira to the pound. So you can see that the cost of that is still high, and that would not change the price at the pump. The pump this morning is about going to 700 naira per liter. We would have to monitor by the time the Dangote products start getting into the market. Would that change the price a little bit, or would there be a competition between the NNPC and what Dangote will be selling his own?
Well, we'll all wait to see what is going to happen there. But what about the other oil refineries that the president was talking about. I think one in is it the
The Port
southeast,
Harcourt refinery.
the Port Harcourt one, and I think one in the north as well. What are they, or what is happening there?
Well, what we've been getting is it seems that the Port Harcourt refinery, as we have been told by the president, might not come up as expected. The refineries are still, there's a lot of work needs to be done when it comes to the damage of neglecting these refineries for a very very long time. But we will have to wait. The president assured Nigerians that it will come up, from the end of October. I mean December, which is just less than some few weeks down. So, not to knock it off as quickly as we might just have to wait to see whether the Port Harcourt refinery will come up as quickly as possible, as the president have given the assurance.
Wow, listeners, Star Radio UK. Now, if you're listening to us, I want to have an input from you. Do you think that maybe the leaders, those who have, because of their negligence, has caused the country to be having these problems? Where now, I mean, Port Harcourt want to say that the negligence and the damage that has been caused because of that. Now, government needs lots of money to do that. So we surcharge them. Like we have Dina, or that lady here who is facing a former petroleum minister who is facing a trial here and stuff like. Do we bring them all together and then maybe what? Sanction all of them, get monies out of them, and maybe that will serve as a deterrent to others. Let us know what you think about it. Is Star Radio UK. For those of you on the various platforms, we salute each and every one of you. But let's go back to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds. Over to you, Yomi.
Not a very good one coming out of Abuja yesterday, as we had another plane, dive nose, as it was landing. We see if we can get, the image of that onto the screen in just about, a minute. And when I was looking at yes, I think we have that now. Let's see how we can bring that straight into the screen. The question is, how do we make sure that the safety of our airport, especially the major airport, the Abuja airport, that is meant to bring in, the investors into the country, and that is the image coming up. Yesterday, almost the whole day. I'm not sure whether flights have resumed back, but I can confirm that the Abuja airport was a complete lockdown yesterday, as the runway closed as an aero aircraft, crashed land. And that is, I mean, looking at the airport, that is the airport tarmac. I mean, the runway.
I mean, cracked like that?
And you can tell that it seems that something is definitely not right, with this country, and how the president is going to work with these, the aviation minister, lives of people. I mean, we're talking about just an hour flight from Lagos to Abuja. Imagine should a flight coming into the country with a lot of passengers, and you can see right there, the aircraft, as literally, I mean, we've seen skid of aircraft, in Heathrow London Airport, but I am talking about, the runway itself. Look at the crack on that runway, and you can tell that there's a big problem. So what is the story all around that? Yesterday, a Boeing 737 passenger jet belonging to Aero Contractors Airline crashed land at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport on Sunday morning. Although there was no injury or fatality was recorded, the Nigerian Safety Investigation Bureau, an agency of the federal government, confirmed the aircraft got involved in a serious accident at about 10:48 a.m. upon arriving at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport from Lagos State. The Director of Public Affairs and Consumer Protection, James Odaudu, confirmed this in a statement that was issued in Abuja, and the investigation into the incident has commenced. Well, this is not the first time the aircraft, upon landing at the Nnamdi International Airport from Lagos, and in a bid to exit the runway via A4, had his nose wheel stuck in the grass veg with a fusage on the runway as well. Consequently, the runway was closed pending the towing of the aircraft on the runway. And I had remember we talked about just last couple of weeks as well. Friday, a private jet conveying the Minister of Power Adebayo Adelabu from Abuja to Ibadan crashed land as well at Ibadan Airport, but there was no injury as well. The question then is, surrounding these, airport incident, what can be done? We hope the aviation minister, Festus Keyamo, will be looking into that as quickly as possible. 11:36, we touch more on the losses of the currency revaluation. Eight firms recorded 918 billion loss on the currency reevaluation. According to the report, eight firms have declared 918 billion as currency reevaluation loss following a 68.55% decline in the value of the naira against the dollar as of end of September 2023. We talked about the Dangote earlier. Remember that, Dangote also has to source for his own dollar, forex, as much as possible from outside. The question then is, how and what is this new administration going to do quickly, to make sure that, the currency between the dollar and the naira, is not having a big toll, as many firms are losing money, to the tune of 918 billion. That's from eight different organizations that are running, different projects in Nigeria. Some of the firms that have lost this amount of money include the Dangote Sugar Refinery PLC, the Dangote Cement PLC, the Nesto Nigerian PLC, the Nigerian Bureau PLC, the Guinness Nigerian PLC, the MTN Nigerian Communication PLC, the Airtel Africa PLC, the MRS Oil Nigerian PLC, and the Saplet Energy PLC. These are very powerful firms that are operating large, investment in the country. And it seems that, the cost of the dollar to the naira is having a huge impact. According to the World Bank, the naira is one of the worst performing currency in Africa, losing nearly 40% of its value since June. This has negatively impacted firms like the Dangote Sugar, which recorded a revaluation loss of 90 billion naira. The firm said, in the line with the CBN circular on the 14th of June 2023, operation changed to the foreign exchange market, which was introduced the willing buyer and the willing seller on the investors and exporters window based on the prevailing market. According to the monetary asset and liability for the Nigerian operation, were also revalued at this rate, resulting in the revaluation of 72 billion naira for the group. This was driven by the letters of credit and foreign vendor balance as well. Dangote Cement recorded 99 billion as the revaluation loss. The Nesto revaluation lost 143.4 billion in the period under review. The firm highlighted that due to the recent devaluation of naira, it also reevaluated four foreign currency obligations that led to 143 billion. So what that happened in the real market, the MRS recorded 2.37 billion loss. The Sapele recorded 16 billion. And all this happened to the end of September as well. The Nigerian Brewery, and many Nigerians drinks, the Guinness, but it seems that they also recorded 86.83 billion revaluation. The cost of the data will continue to rise as MTN also part recorded a forex loss of 232 billion in the net foreign currency liability. All these is a big problem in the economy, and it seems that many Nigerians will continue to have to suffer, for the negligence of a country that should have invested a very long time but refused to do so. Let's go back again to the inflation. Inflation will hit two-digit, 30% by December. This is coming from the KPMG as well this morning. According to the KPMG forecast, that Nigerians' headline inflation will rise to 30% by December 2023, attributing to the anticipated increase to the recent reforms, such as the fuel subsidy removal, the unification of the foreign exchange market. The insight was shared in the KPMG macroeconomy review for the first half of 2023, along with the projection for the second half of the year. Specifically, our model suggests that the combined influence of the fuel subsidy removal, the foreign exchange liberation may drive headline inflation to about 30%. Currently, as of September, the inflation is about 26.72%, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. So you can see that it's just less than 3% before we hit that 30% inflation. Again, that will mean that the cost of food will rise, the cost of living will rise, the cost of transportation will continue to rise. I was monitoring a particular tweet last week where people have to pay about 1,400 to and fro between a location to another location, using the same BRT that would have meant to be cheaper. You multiply that by 30 days, that's about 35,000 naira. The price, the cost of wages is less than 30,000. So you can imagine, if you're already paying 35,000 naira to run transportation, you are likely to lose at the end of the month, or you might have to steal from whatever work you're doing to survive. Again, the cooking gas continue to rise, and as many as well. We go straight to what has happened in the last election, not the one that went in February, but we're talking about the election over the weekend, as the governorship election tenure completed from three states, from Bayelsa to Kogi to Imo State, and it seems winners have now been announced, but also it seems that losers are not happy as well. According to the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party on Sunday, cried foul as the governor Hope Uzodinma of the candidate of All Progressive Congress was declared winner of the Saturday governorship poll in Imo State by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The electoral body affirmed Hope Uzodinma re-election have won all the 27 local government areas of the state. The governor clinched a second term in the office, scoring a total of 540,000, the commission stated. In Kogi, the candidate of the APC, Usman Ododo, was declared the winner of the election with 446,237 votes. Announcing the result late Sunday night, the state returning officer, Professor Johnson Urama, said Ododo was closely followed by the Social Democratic Party. As Dino, my wife was saying that how come Dino hasn't provided another music? He loves producing music, but he can't produce music for himself because he has actually lost out under the PDP for becoming the governor of Kogi State. Dino Malai, the PDP gained 46,000, not even up to 50,000. Leke Bajide, the African Democratic Party, scored 21,000. And it seems that the total number of the registered vote was 1.9 million, and the accredited vote was 794,000. So in Bayelsa State, the INEC says the result from the Brass and the Southern Ijaw local government areas of the Bayelsa will be announced later today. So that is our update on the latest. I'll come back again to you in the studio, but there's not much going on the social media apart from many are now monitoring what is happening after another election, as there's something trending that says Tinubu is not. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to find out why people are saying Tinubu is not. I know that many say Tinubu is not our president, but in reality, he is the president. I'm sure many are just saying that after the Supreme Court gave him the assurance that he can go ahead. People will have to wait to 2027 to decide whether he's our president or is not. That will be whether he will be voted back again or not. But for now, it is the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. As I return back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie, this morning.
Well, listeners, Mr. Live, I keep bringing you everything I need to know pertaining to Nigeria. Thank you very much to every one of you who are on the various platforms. But Yomi, the president, how has he been feeling or faring after he became the president, health-wise? Because before then, we knew that there were some health issues.
It seems some people are saying that that's a gimmick. He was actually doing that just to make sure that he gets the whole of individuals. He wasn't speaking very well. He was speaking like somebody that has some kind of a slur in his voice. But since he has taken the baton, everything seems to be clear. But you're quite right. When we still talk about the health of the president, we know that he spent good amount of time in France before the election, and even after the election, he had flew down there for medical reasons. But I was looking at him yesterday, in Saudi Arabia. It looks frail, but again, he might have probably the best physician, the best doctors that travel with him to make sure that he has enough input of food in his stomach to keep that energy, because like Bajabi Amila said, only Almighty Allah can carry the weight of Nigeria. And the president also said this morning that prayer will be needed, not just for Nigeria, probably for him as well. So, looking at the president, it seems a little bit, not as agile as Buhari, as at the time Buhari came in 2015. So President Buhari was a little bit more stronger than the current president as we speak right now.
Well, what do you think about all that? Listen to Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Okay, Yomi, before you go.
Well, we've started a week again. As we move into the full week, make sure you stay tuned to the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I'll be joining again tomorrow at exactly 11 o'clock. Make sure you make it a date with us. But for now, Archie takes you through what is happening. As I was telling my wife in the kitchen this morning, she wasn't listening to me. I said, David Cameron is back. David Cameron is back. And, my wife probably, sometimes women just don't want to, listen to what you're saying, especially when it's politics. Eventually, she came into the living room and I say, and she saw David Cameron say, Kamaru. is back,
Uh-huh.
because the Nigerians will call David Cameron Kamoru, and she's
Oh,
like, oh,
okay.
Kamoru is back. I said, well, I was telling you earlier on, you didn't listen to me. And that tells you that, politics is just a game of number. David Cameron is back as the foreign secretary. He was the one that took us out from the referendum that
Yeah.
eventually brought down the union between us and the European Union.
Mm. Well, listeners, you want to know more, make sure that tomorrow your dials are logged on when we bring you Mr. Live Cookie. Yomi, thank you very much and have a lovely day.
Bye for now, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Well. It is time
Well,
for me to
sorry,
say
my people.
that up to the radio station in London.
I gotta go now. I can't see your image clearly. Because I'm not sitting properly, so I have to block behind the scene. So sometimes we have to do it like that. It might be new. I can't see your image clearly. You have a blessed day. Thank you so much. Only 14 people. It tells that Media, they're not really following us. It's not a very good one. Each time we say follow Alori backup channel, probably only few people do that. But again, we can understand. We are just doing our best. Sometimes I've said it, Ejeki Etelewani Gbogbo platform. So we are live on the TikTok and we're also live on the Mixlr. But I gotta go now. I need to go and see my mom, and then later on I'll come back and we do our own program as well. So Moki Bogwale can see you have your boss said it. I cannot see your image clearly. Shelly read me clearly in the scene. Mr. Peter, thank you so much. Let me appreciate those. I think that's the only people I can see. The rest are not commenting. And likewise, only 7 people like the video. Thank you so much. I gotta go now. Allow me, Koiki Media, bringing the work closer to your doorstep. I shake on the Yami Abosede, Rachel. At least I tell you what they be by. The remaining 42,000, they don't even know that I'm live now because they refuse to follow this platform. It's not good at all. Anyway, we will continue our best. Thank you so much, Ogumola Biodun on the Mixlr, and thank you so much those of you that joined me as well on the TikTok. Ola Mikoiki. Bye for now.